The whole thing is a super management system to manage the entire planet. And they're wanting to build these things like artificial general engineers. We're talking about AI literally now being given the reins to design the future for us. And we're building the necessary infrastructure for that to happen. So that has to be the plan.
The only reason any of us have this ability to live lives and have cleanliness and this sort of is because we have electricity and energy that's converted into things that can make life easier. I mean, I've been to many a country traveling. People still go collect water in buckets and bring that back. There's not running water. So think about how much time it would take you if you had to go collect firewood from a forest, so they deforested and it takes you 3 hours to go walk and get your wood. The water's 30 minutes because you can't carry the wood and the water at the same time. You got to take 2 trips. You're already like 5-6 hours into your day just to go get wood for the fire and water, maybe going to the store to buy something if you have a way to earn money to go get it. I mean, you realize how easy we have it with the electricity and energy here. Without that, carrying capacities, 500 million's generous. Yeah, and again, with that water, you'd think we'd have already developed magnetic motors if they're working on weightless propulsion already and electric gravitics. I mean, that's the easiest low-hanging fruit off that is the electrical discharge from that very process. That's why in the early days, the 1950s, there were a lot of reports of what we'll consider lightning or some sort of lightning strikes coming off the bottom of the UFOs. That was because they were overproducing. They had no way to dissipate that like they do now with the frontal plasma layer from the actual material in front of it. Like we're going through atoms and molecules, right? But that plasma sheath in front literally leaves an empty space. That's how they can go and turn, and there's nothing in front literally for them to push through because there's nothing there.
Right.
But that originally in the 1940s and 50s, when they were working on some of this stuff that they found in Germany, the electrical discharge coming off the bottom was one of the things that was cited again and again and again. Well, that just shows you that this electric gravitics has a whole electrical aspect to it. So that the biggest concern that they always talk about is with desalinization is what? Electricity. And they're right there. You don't even have to worry about the electricity. You know, you got to take it back to the 1940s when the world was being reestablished. What was the benefit to keep that away from people and continue to roll the world out the way it's been rolled out since compared to?
I have a good idea how they're rolling out this. And seemingly these articles don't have anything to do with each other, but in my crazy mind, they do. So here's an article about scathing class action lawsuit accuses Washington Post of surveillance pricing, covert data harvesting. So just in the title there, that company was giving different people different prices based on who they were and stealing all their metadata. Why are they stealing all their metadata? Inflation skyrocketing, food costs so much. There's no places to live in the Western world, from Europe to the Americas. We have housing problems, right? And seemingly people don't understand that whenever you add millions and millions of people, hey, it's kind of hard to find a house now, and that might add to that. Basically, it all focuses in right here on these data centers with total surveillance over health services, over security, over your money, everything. So they're talking about hands off, anti-Palantir protests break out in the UK over a deal with National Health Service, and outsource those programs to these companies so that, when the local populations are mad about whatever they're doing, they can, compartmentalize and say it ain't our fault. It's this company, it's that contract. And they were already doing that with stuff in the UK already. That's why they were trying to do the Brexit movement in the first place, is so they could get out of all these arrangements and agreements. And now we're getting to the point where we're going to put in the real technology, the real biometric stuff. And it may be causing delays now, but they're going to streamline this to where they know.
Unlike most olive oils on the market, Kasandrinos is single source, organic, cold pressed from family owned groves in Greece. Never blended, not mass produced, not sitting on shelves forever. And every single batch is lab tested for polyphenol content. Farm to table, from their orchards to your kitchen. As soon as they pick these olives, literally within hours, they cold press them so you get peak flavor and health benefits. 100% single origin, organic extra virgin olive oil. That's what you want. which offers a unique blend of potent vitamins that support immune, bone, and heart health without capsules or fillers. And the Mediterranean diet, you've heard about this for centuries, and the benefits of long-term wellness. From the family-owned olive groves in Laconia, Greece, straight to your taste buds. We should be supporting this type of business, family businesses producing clean foods that can get it to you directly. This should be the new business model for the entire planet. You should know your farmers. We need to have local producers that produce clean foods for us. The corporate chain, this isn't doing it anymore. So please support families and businesses just like this. That link's in the description box below, and it's going to be some of the best olive oil you've ever had in your entire life. Head over to Kasandrinos.com/David to put your order in there, or you can just simply click on that link in the description box below.
Like, say you fly to Ireland, Ireland's going to know that you got on the plane. Ireland's going to know that you were flying on the plane and whether you were unruly or not unruly. They're going to know all of that stuff. So when you land, then you might get arrested for something you did. They're going to know exactly where every person is at all times.
Hey, wait, Ransom, wait a second. Then you get arrested for putting a post on through the free Wi-Fi in the airplane because it was under a jurisdiction of a different nation and you violated there. And, you know, just for an FYI for people, you know that little tiny circle that you can see sometimes in your screen when you're on an international flight, or sometimes, you know, depending on how long haul flight, you know, you can't, the movie screen in front of you, there's a little circle there sometimes. Airlines got in trouble for harvesting you. They recorded you in real time for the entire flight to see where eye movements are, how much you slept, if you watched the advertisements, how much you drank, what did you eat, what didn't you eat, to try to adjust menu choices. Like, the airlines got raked over the coals for that, and you didn't hear much about it because they didn't want you to know that they were spying and recording you for the entire flight, picking your nose or whatever you're doing through that little hole in the camera. That's why I would always bring and put a piece of tape over it, still do when I'm flying, if I see it, but they've removed those since. Just saying, like, it's happening everywhere. And where's all that data being stored? Because another thing for traveling, the e-visa program for Indonesia got hacked. And they had 16 million passports, photos, phone numbers, email addresses. For all the foreigners that wanted to get the e-visa in Indonesia, all that information got hacked. And that's a government responsible for that.
In my mind, the main goal is management of everything. It's not, you know, like, all of those are little programs within the entire program. The whole thing is a super management system to manage the entire planet. And they're wanting to build these things like artificial general engineers. We're talking about AI literally now being given the reins to design the future for us. And we're building the necessary infrastructure for that to happen. So that has to be the plan. We now have countries, including Saudi Arabia, you remember, famously gave rights to what's her name? Sophia, I think. AI android robot that was, you know, the most realistic one, the smartest one. They kept updating it and updating it. That has citizenship and rights, like the movie Short Circuit, where at the end of that movie, which is an old 80s movie, the first robotic citizen was given citizenship, you know, and they made him all gold plated and he was a robot. But that actually really happened. So that was a prediction of something that would happen. And now you have more and more countries that are starting to recognize this. Now, they preemptively set this up whenever they gave corporations the rights of humans. So if you have a corporation that's a person, an entity, and now it's ran by a non-human, an AI, a different kind of entity, that AI necessarily already has those rights. And they're going to expand those rights. And the AI system is completely unregulated as far as controlling it, but completely regulated as far as controlling you.
Yeah, and that's where we get into the ownership of your actual physical identity, because looking through YouTube, just for, you know, I do some YouTube stuff and Ransom does too. There's a complete purge going on in YouTube right now based on, you know, the largest content creators don't want their style and imagery used and replicated by AI and then put out at a much cheaper version. So now YouTube's concerned with the actual ownership of not only your face and your identity, but the style at which you create content. Because their largest A-lister creators, like somebody had done a Mr. Beast video with a different person, it was identical with all like the hoopla and the ha and all this and the extra hosts and all the games, and all those people were digitized. There were no real people. It was completely digital, completely AI from start to finish, and you couldn't tell that it was not real. So Mr. Beast sued these people saying, you can't use our style and the methodologies and the quirkiness that we have and just take our methods and copy paste it in the way that we do first step A, first step B to keep people teased on the hook and bring them back in. If YouTube's worried about your AI, not just that, see, this goes way beyond just your face. This goes so deep into how you as a human process information, how you as a human put information together to create a story, and the methodology at which you use your mind to use those complex decisions to create something is what they're trying to protect now. So if we're at that level where just YouTube is out there trying to protect their A-list creators from others using AI that is so cheap now to be able to create content that will keep you captivated and bring millions of subscribers onto a channel in weeks or months, then what else is going on out in the world that's not being regulated? You know, at some point, the reason that you're going to have to identify yourself as a human is because the technology is getting so good and already right now that they can create entire movies, video platforms, video series, game shows, etc. Not a single live person exists in there, and you would never know the difference. Anything that you ever watched on AI on YouTube is gone, pretty much. They're scraping the entire platform. They removed 140 million videos just yesterday, and something like 40,000 channels got banged on yesterday, and they're doing this every single day for like the next 2 months. And a couple 100,000 channels that are doing AI renderings and like using, you know, those stories where it'll be a story, but it'll be generated by AI, and it'll have just some AI generated pictures in there as the story goes along. Like all those story channels are gone. All those revenge story channels gone. Anything that talks about events in the past of people or documentaries or something gone. There's YouTube's removing everything. So it's going to be, just for an FYI out there, YouTube is trying to bring it back so it's only human created content on the platform, because they see that that's going to be a niche in the future, is human only created content. And that will be the platform to go to on the planet to see humans make stuff. Like we're in a damn zoo. This is exactly what's happening.
You know, you were really talking about the way that they can control stuff now, and I was going to bring this back up because, you know, with the movies, I've been paying attention for a long time. So first basically came around the science of colors whenever they first introduced color, the Technicolor.
Color psychology, yeah, that's a popular one.
Right. So after the colors, they started working on flicker rates, right? And then after that, they started working on certain tones and sounds that cause emotion. And to get a good idea of that, just fast forward to one of the recent Disney movies. So now it's a digital production with all the right colors, all the right tones. The music chimes in at just the right time. You have flicker rate, hidden images, subliminal messages, all of this on top of what now, you know, and I've kind of gave it a break for a while because I think people were starting to think I was crazy, but people don't realize how far technology has come as far as manipulating the human being. Now, before I've talked about magnetic waves and Wi-Fi waves and different things that are in real studies that demonstrate that they can control behaviors in animals. And not only that, they can literally change one gene in an animal to change an entire behavior, whether this is from an exterior source or from genetic tampering from an internal, mechanism. But on top of that, you have a thing called Li-Fi, right? So Li-Fi is basically the internet that people don't realize has been happening for the last 10 years. So this isn't your coaxial hookup. This isn't your satellite feed. This is a internet that exists within all of the LED bulbs, televisions, screens, and other things that are pumping out flicker rates, and they're pumping out colors and all of these other things to either agitate you or make you want to buy or make you hungry or all of these other things. There's like tons and tons of documentation on that. Now we're all the way to the point. What if I could just get you as a worker to skip sleep and just go back to work, making your brain think that, well, it already slept. And the way that I could do that is by signaling your brain with a specific kind of Li-Fi. They don't use the word Li-Fi in this article, but it's essentially the same thing because you're going to need programs, algorithms to run this type of technology. So what they're talking about is literally no sleep, no problem. Awake mice given fake sleep signals, passed the memory test. They thought they slept. And so basically what they're using is light controlled tools to trigger the brain's deep sleep firing patterns in awake moving mice, and some sleep's core benefits followed. What this tells me is, obviously more than what they're saying, because I can't help look into, the ramifications of what someone's saying when they're saying, hey, I can make you hungry. I could make you sexually aroused. I could make you sleepy. I could make you exhausted, angry, upset. And we had all the conspiracy theorists going crazy when they found out about ELF and voice to skull technology. That's all child's play. Now we have a giant internet system of light, sounds, flicker rates, and all of the God knows other components. And then decades later, we find out the little infrared receiver for changing the channel indeed was a reverse camera, and they were spying on what people were doing, just like you were talking about a minute ago. They wanted to know when you got up to pee, did you eat Doritos, all of those kind of things. And now it's to the point where they're actually looking at you in high def detail using microwave and other things to see exactly what you're doing. It penetrates the walls. They know about your safe if they wanted to. They know about the stuff you put in the wall. They know about that stuff if they wanted to. You can scan your house and find out pretty easily now. So we're at a point where people just don't realize the future we're in as far as technology. So now they can manipulate you directly without you even knowing it, just from the lighting around.
I don't buy light bulbs from Home Depot or anywhere. I go to estate sales and I rummage through, and I always find the old bulbs before I don't have any LED lights in my house except the one in the hallway that came with it was a new fixture we put in, and the one in the bedroom, and that's it. Nothing else LED in the house. I don't want it. I go out of my way to scoop up the bulbs. I'll go in, and if there's a box of 50, I'll buy all 50. Different ranges of lumens, doesn't matter for me. It's a bulb from the past that doesn't have any track and trace on it. They work wonderfully. I do need to change them occasionally, but didn't we all when we were younger, remember? Click, click, boom, and it would scare you a little bit like, oh, the bulb went out. But otherwise, I routinely try to find as many light bulbs from the past as I can, because you literally can't buy them. And like if you try to go on eBay or somewhere like that, they want like $5, $6, up to $10 for one bulb now of the old ones, the incandescent bulbs. Just go to an estate sale and gobble them all up in different colors. So I'm a light bulb collector. Maybe I'm a freak. I got boxes of light bulbs laying around from the past because you just can't buy those types of bulbs anymore. And if I could talk about LED light bulb, dirty little secret, the lifetime rating on that where it says 5 years, that's they turn it on once and they leave it on for 5 years. The continuous turning on and off of the bulbs is not what they tested for in the lifetime of that bulb. Incandescent bulbs, they would say 50,000 times, right? But LED, the rating on it is a continuous burn from the time they turn it on until the time it fails.
So they just want you to run that electricity, 24 hours a day to keep your light bulbs.
Yeah, but if you turn it on and off and on and off, that it creates extra excessive wear and tear that's not built into the testing parameters or the specs for the test. It's not. There's been a lot of lawsuits about this and false advertising to say that you're saying 5 years, but you didn't turn it on and off 20,000 times when it failed at 3,000th time or something.
Maybe that's what it is. I'm going around trying to save light, so I'm destroying everything by turning it off all the time.
Well, if you leave it on, again, it's a continuous draw, vampire charge on that. Even though they're only running 20 watts, leave on 15 light bulbs at 20 watts or 10 light bulbs at 20 watts. For a whole month and tell me how much they're going to cost you extra.
Do you think this thing's going to hit 40 by 2027? Because I actually do. I think that's like what's going to happen here.
Well, the projections are this thing is going up to like 70 in the next 5 to 10 years. I have to give you the exact. They had a chart following this thing up, and it was going to be over 100 by 2050. So something's getting exponential here on this curve, and now our taxpayer to pay the interest off this thing is more than we actually bring in revenue. And then you have all the other liabilities of the Social Security and the Medicare. Liability. We're going to have to start cutting people's Medicare benefits like they've done across Europe to be able to pull back on some of this stuff. It hadn't happened to us yet. All across Europe routinely and other nations across the planet, where people are going to be angry when it happens the first time in America.
I was explaining to my son that when he was born, he already had this, $100,000 debt. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Everybody, when you're born, already has a percentage of this national debt. They expect, in your lifetime, you're going to pay that off, but it'll just keep increasing and it'll never go away because of inflation, because of interest." And he was like, "I don't understand." I said, "It's even worse. Not only do you owe, upwards of $100,000 when you were born, but right now they're expecting you to pay off about 400,000 of it because you're one of the few workers."
That birth certificate, they're issuing bonds against you also on the financial markets that are starting off with, let's say, that $100,000 figure, that's the base that everybody's building off of, and incremental interest off those, bonds that are issued against you through your lifetime earnings, because they anticipate you're going to earn more than $100,000 the whole time you're alive. If you live to be like 80, you're going to earn more than 100,000. It's almost like a gambling casino. Well, how much will David earn? How much will Ransom earn? How much will...
I wanted to put it into perspective, like I told him, that's the reality of his time. That, say someone's born right now, if you look over there, he already is if he's an able-bodied person, he's not born with any kind of issues, and is expected to work in his life eventually, he's already on the hook for 4 people's debt.
Yeah.
4 people, not just his.
355 debt per citizen, 114. So you're already at like pushing over 400. Well, almost going up to $500,000 per person right there anyway.
Right. So you for 3.5 people just because you were born as a beta. Betas are the smallest population coming. So this ratio is just going to increase with each generation that's born, right? So for the next after beta, it's going to go up, where when you're born, you're having to pay off 4 people that don't work's debt. And it works the same way when it comes to aid and assistance and things like that. So for every person that's out there with a job that's working, you got to realize you're paying for 3 or 4 additional people that are not paying in.
Yeah, because where it says in the green there, the federal tax revenue, so you need to look at that at 5 trillion, and then somewhere on the list there, you're going to find the interest payments that we're on our national debt on that 39 trillion, and those numbers don't match up.
Oh, and then you got the fraud clock now, added to this.
Oh, geez. 100 million billions, 100,000 million billion. Oh, 711 billion on the fraud clock. Nice.
Yeah, so basically what's happening is, if you're an average worker in any one of the first world countries, or even I would say some third world countries, I never hear of second world countries. Where is that? I never hear that. It's either first or third.
Those are the mid-development countries, not Singapore, because that's considered a first-tier country. Yet Indonesia would be considered one of those second tiers. Their economy is coming up. They have one of the highest economic growth in Asia. They're not quite there like you would consider Taiwan or South Korea or Japan or Singapore, but they're almost there.
But they still have a lot of workers. So it's like whether you live in first to third and you have a lot of workers, middle class, the establishment of the world, how everybody makes that joke that if all these countries owe money, who does the world owe money to? It seems like they just decided we need to price everyone out of existence. This is the time. We got reducing fertility. We got declining population. We got world war imminent. We have climate change. I'll put it that way, since that's their favorite term. That's a very real possibility of a magnetic field getting to a point that it causes real substantial problems on the planet. And all this just seems to be coalescing at the same time as they're trying to go for broke and make you broke. Just cost you out of existence. It seems like they want to put everybody back on a hunter-gatherer playing field. Whether you live in a first world or a third world country, you'll be essentially living in the same life. If you take away any resources that I have right here, essentially I'm living in a mud hut with a bunch of electronics. But if you turn off the electricity, I'm living no different than they are in Central Africa.
Or they were 5,000 years ago. It all comes back to it. The only reason any of us have this ability to live lives and have cleanliness and this sort of is because we have electricity and energy that's converted into things that can make life easier. I mean, I've been to many a country traveling. People still go collect water in buckets and bring that back. There's not running water. So think about how much time it would take you if you had to go collect firewood from a forest. So they deforested and it takes you 3 hours to go walk and get your wood. The water's 30 minutes because you can't carry the wood and the water at the same time. You got to take 2 trips. You're already like 5-6 hours into your day just to go get wood for the fire and water. That didn't leave anything for laundry, repairing laundry, sewing things, cooking, maybe going to the store to buy something if you have a way to earn money to go get it. I mean, you realize how easy we have it with the electricity and energy here. Without that, carrying capacities, 500 million's generous.
I just wonder sometimes in 500 years, are they going to be looking at this, anthropologists of the time being like, well, we have no idea why they collapsed. It seemed like they had all the technology they needed. Power generation at this point in our civilization it's a non-issue. We've already figured out the sun. We figured out petroleum. We figured out nuclear reactions. So there's literally no reason for anyone to suffer as far as not having power generation on the planet right now.
Yeah, and with the abundance of materials and interconnectivity in our supply chains, I'm just still baffled how people don't have running clean water. I mean, I know that the corruption in Africa with the World Bank giving them the loans is like at the highest, never been solved. Like if you could solve that one problem, if you could say, hey, Dave, what would you say to solve that? I would say in Africa, there'd have to be accountability for when these bank loans are issued on the sovereigns or when the government level, that those who take it at least have to spend it in the country. Because I was doing that African, I'm still doing on the African expose. Some of these leaders get like $4 or $5 billion from the World Bank, and they keep 4.999 billion of it. They leave zero for the people. And then the World Bank doesn't care because the offset of that when they can't pay back their loans is they just come in and they take the resources. If that cycle of corruption could be broken, where the money that it was actually issued into a nation had to go into the nation for road building and water filtration and water works and these sort of things. Hell, these places don't even have roads after $200 billion rocks into a country or more, 500 billion, and they still don't even have a single or barely any roads except in the cities only. And it's just dirt tracks that wash away in the rainy season for the rest of the country. Like, how is that even possible with $500 billion, $1 trillion going in over 30 years, 40 years that they don't even have roads there?
Are you talking about New Mexico?
Stop talking about Africa.
Yeah, I know, but that's the same issues we're having here. They're dumping trillions into the government, potholes in the street, homelessness up 55%. The trade routes are still open.
Oh, they always will be. I mean,
actually, I'm talking to several people that are in the know along the border. And from what I'm being told, there's a major push to reestablish power in the United States from the cartels. And it's being met with almost zero resistance from the Mexican government. And from what I'm being told, there's a little bit of holding back on the U.S. side as well. So it's almost like they're trying to set up the situation that they scared everybody about. And, when they started actually shutting down the border, it really closed off and they saw an impact and they realized, hey, we got to let a little bit of flow come back.
Well, I saw that Claudia Sheinbaum didn't want to go to the World Cup games and matches in Mexico because she would be booed so heavily that it would give a bad image for Mexico, that she won't attend any World Cup games. Super crazier than we are. Like, you go to Spain and some of these places that are Germany or whatever, super crazy football fans, like England, whatever, damn. And then Mexico, put that right in the same boat. Like, American, we're so timid at the matches. Almost zero energy in a football match compared to most of the rest of the world. Imagine the boos that would be going on. They wouldn't be just like, boo, they'd be throwing stuff and like all kind of off the hook.
Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy what's going on as far as I've been told. There's embarrassment of the fact that they had years to prepare for it and the roads are messed up and they're doing this thing. We fix potholes. They'll go and they'll do whatever they do to make it solid. So down there, they're just faking, covering it up with some stuff and then painting it so that it looks like the street's good while it's just filled in with like some dirt or something. Pothole's still there. They had a long time to prepare for this. So it's like a lot of people are saying it's a big embarrassment that Scheinbaum is embarrassed. But it wasn't just Scheinbaum, it was the guy before him too. What's his name? Already forgot his name.
The play actors come and go. I mean, the stage always stays the same, but exit stage left. Here comes a whole new crew that you'll forget the names in 5 years, and this agenda they push still continues.
Yeah, well, it's for the people. It's for the Pueblo. Don't worry about it.
It's for the Pueblo. Yes, it is. Oh, thank you for staying with us for the couple hours here. We could always go longer, but we're going to cut it. It is midnight Eastern Standard Time every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. Thanks for your comments. I've been reading them on the sidebar as we're coming across here. Massive depopulation through food, water, electricity shortages. It's going to be far more than that. It's not going to be just those three. It's going to be, again, if the U.S. kicks off, look for the real pipelines that are delivering the relief energy out, like the Amal pipeline that delivers 5 million barrels to the Red Sea. That's going to get smashed to smithereens. And you'll watch what a true oil panic looks like. Because if it goes down, again, this will be in orders of magnitude on how do you disrupt an economy to reset and bring a new economy in. We have to break the old one and smash it and burn it to the ground before the phoenix can rise from the ashes. Civilizationcycle.com, put your email in there, get you the show notes, 10 things we talked about with a little explanation, some images of relevant charts, and also buymeacoffee.com/civilization cycle if you like this type of content. And thank you so much for diving in with us this evening. Try to read those out for you, and everybody that's supporting you, thank you too for all the thank yous in the Buy Me a Coffee. Bye for now.